Hey guys, Mona Lisa here, and this is the season 2 extras for Game of Thrones, where I'm going to be talking about my favorite scenes, favorite characters, least favorite characters, like most shocking moments. I have my charts and my predictions for season 3, failed predictions for season 2, and I'm going to be answering some questions as well. So, that being said, let's get started. Alright, so my three favorite scenes for season 2 is number one is when Tyrion was rallying all the men to fight at King's Landing. It was very, I think it was very touching. Obviously, him being so small. I think having the biggest heart and explaining to the guys, why they needed to defend King's Landing. It wasn't because of the king, it was because of them. It was their homes they needed to protect. And I just found it very moving and very brave of him to make that decision. It just shows, he is a true leader, and his heart is definitely in the right place. He knows what he needs to be doing, and yeah, I think honestly he is king material. And yeah, obviously Joffrey was sent back inside by his mom, which you can't really blame him. He's 17 years old and he sees a mother, so it is what it is. But yeah, I thought that was a very moving scene. As well as that, Tyrion was sort of like psyching himself up as well. Like, I will, I can't remember exactly what he said, but like, yeah, I will do it, I will do it. And then he was shouting to the guys, I will do it. So yeah, I loved that. So that was my favorite scene. Um, Second scene, there was a few of them, but it was like Arya's and Tywin's sort of relationship they had. Um, I thought it was very interesting because so far you just sort of seen Tywin as a cold-hearted father and leader, I suppose, and so like the relationship he had with Arya was very interesting. You saw him sort of taking a liking to her, and I think she took a liking to him as well. They had a like certain respect for each other, and it was just very interesting to see them trying to work each other out. And yeah, I just love that. There were a few scenes like that, but I thought that was definitely my sort of second favorite. So yeah, that was the second favorite. Three. It's a very small scene, but Sansa's reaction when she was told that she was not going to be queen, when she walked away, just saw like the relief on her face. She's just like smiling. You can just see, I mean, it was just amazing, that reaction that yeah, she was free now from becoming queen and having to get married to Joffrey, and then when Littlefinger came, she just completely switched. So it's like definitely the relief, but I think she has kind of been playing them as well. I mean, obviously she's been scared and that, but I think there's definitely more to Sansa than I initially thought. She's definitely grown from the first season where she was just a little brat. So yeah, I can't wait to see her journey. So even though it's a small scene, yeah, it's definitely my third favorite. So yeah, that were my favorite scenes. So my five favorite characters. Number one, I don't think that's a surprise that it is Tyrion. Um, I think he's just one of the bravest people in the whole show, and he's a very likable guy, and he obviously has these struggles with being the small guy, having to prove himself to his family, who hates him really. Yeah, I just love this character. You could almost see from the sort of the beginning of the season that he was having to go out and fight, and even though that it was not the place for him, he was willing to go out there and do the job that he was told to do. He is quite manipulative. I love the scene where he was sort of explaining to the three guys that he was telling them different stories to where the daughter was going to be sent. I can't remember her name again. That's just typical. But yeah, manipulating them, and found out who the traitor was at the end. It's so kind of things that I love about him. And he is a funny guy, and his relationship with Braun as well. It's they're like a comedy duo, aren't they? So I love that. But yeah, definitely his relationship with Shay. I find very touching. I think they definitely love each other, and I think it's come as a surprise to him how much she actually loves him. I think we definitely saw that in the last episode of the season where he broke down, and he just wanted her. I think he wanted her to sort of. I don't know, maybe testing her to see where her loyalties were and how much he actually did love him. I think it was a shock to him that she did actually love him. It wasn't just for the alleged money that he was paying her to, say what he wanted to hear. And he saved King's Landing, and then he was just sort of like tossed to the side afterwards. I mean, I'm so angry, but I can't wait to see what his plans are going to be for season 3. But yeah, Tyrion definitely my number one guy. Number 2 is Arya. She's had quite the journey on this in this season as well. Obviously going to Harrenhal, having to escape from King's Landing and making their way up to the wall and then be captured by Tywin's men and then being sent to Harrenhal after seeing Yoren getting killed. You can't blame her for having hatred to all these people and wanting them dead, but it's kind of a running theme, isn't it? Everybody is like that, but it's like, who do you sympathize with the most, and who's likable? So I think she's had quite a journey, both with Jørgen and with Tywin. Jørgen, I still don't quite understand this character, but I love the fact that she managed to manipulate him in the end. Where she was like, "All right, okay, if you're not going to do as I want you to, kill yourself." And she's quite slick. She's still a young girl, and she needs to be a bit careful with what she says. Obviously, her brain hasn't quite developed to understand that yet, but I love this character. So Arya's my it's number 2. Number 3 is a smaller character, but Leuven. I'm so heartbroken that he died and he got killed. I think he's so important for Winterfell, both for the Starks and for Winterfell as well. Definitely with the 2 younger Stark boys, Bran and Rickon. He's always been there for them, like he said. He saw the birth of them as well. So he's always been there for them and been the advisor and friend. And it was just so heartbreaking to see that he got killed in the end by Dagmar. And as well as that, he tried to help Theon as well. I don't think it was just to manipulate him to get out of Winterfell. I think he was really trying to help Theon, because he's seen him grow up as well. So absolutely heartbroken the fact that Leuven got killed, but I can see why he would have to get killed off. But definitely Leuven is one of my favorites. Number 4 is Sansa. Whereas I couldn't stand her in season 1. Like everybody else, she's had quite the journey in this season. Being abused and humiliated by Joffrey, and she just got into like robot mode, hasn't she? Yes, whatever, I'm here for you, and it's a hell of a situation to be in, and I couldn't quite work out her relationship with Cersei. I think Cersei felt something for her. It's really hard to tell because Cersei is such a stone cold character, but I do think she did have some respect for Sansa and she did like her in the end. Um, Sansa's relationship with Shae was sort of growing as well. Shae was definitely her protector, and I think her and Tyrion. Obviously, Sansa is not quite sure, if Tyrion can be trusted, but you can definitely see there's some kind of relationship happening with them. So I'm quite interested to see what's going to happen there. She's kind of shown in the was it episode 9. She kind of showed her leadership and yeah, leadership really, and her, I suppose, stark heart that she wants to help people, and she's definitely there to calm things down. You saw when all the women were sort of locked in. Cersei was drunk and just basically waiting to get killed, and Sansa was sort of like hoping and talking to the girls in there, keeping them calm and that. So she's definitely showing leadership there. So yeah, I'm really interested to see her journey going forward, and I just think it's funny how your attitude towards people change, your opinion on them change. Like if I go back and watch like the first season, yeah, I couldn't stand Sansa. So yeah, it's interesting. Number 5 again is a smaller character, but Samwell. I love this guy. He is so true to himself, and he knows what's right and what's wrong, and his morals are definitely, he's so kind-hearted, and he sees the good in everything, and I love that about him. He's always there for Jon, even though Jon is a bit of a jackass towards him and others. I'm probably going to get some hate for this, but that's just how I see Jon at the moment. He probably will change eventually, but at the moment he's just a bit of a jackass. But Sam is always there for him, advising him, helping him. He even offered to take on Jon's duties when Jon went off with a half hand. So yeah, he always tries to see the positive in everything, and he gets made fun of by the other guys. But at least he's as days now where he's got a few comebacks at these guys. So yeah, Samuel has definitely got a place in my heart. So that was my favorite characters. Alright, so my 5 least favorite characters. I don't think it's a surprise to anybody that Joffrey is number 1. He's such a cruel guy. I think he was just born wrong. Definitely something wrong in his brain. The way he treats people, he's definitely a sociopath, and yeah, I've got no room for him now. He is only 17, but he's obviously got this sort of like power because he's the king, and he doesn't know what to do with it. He's very selfish, and yeah, the way he abused the horse and the way he's treating Sansa, he's not a likable guy. You saw sort of in the end of season 2 that he was scared. He was trying to put off this like brave kind of character, but he was a scared kid, and definitely came across. But yeah, you can say, yeah, he is 17 years old. He is scared, obviously, but I'd imagine there was a lot of 17-year-olds in the show that were sent out to fight by Joffrey himself or by others. So yeah, Joffrey, I got no place for him. So yeah, he's my number 1. Number 2, Cersei. Just as you think, oh, she's got a heart, she's, there's a reason to the madness. She proves you wrong. Obviously, I think she only lives for her kids, and that's it. Anybody else, I have no room for. And she's a really mean drunk as well, and her relationship with Tyrion, I'm very confused with it. She obviously has some hatred towards him because he was the reason their mother died, and yeah, she's just I don't understand her. Um, she really had this sort of heart to heart with Tyrion about, why she thought Joffrey was the way he was, and I thought it was quite a moving scene. And then the following episode, she was straight on him, like being cruel and being a bit of a bitch. So yeah, I don't like her. The end, I could sort of see why she would want to poison Tom, and his fate would have been if Stannis had broken through. I think would have probably been crueler than how the Targaryen children died. So I can see why she would, as a mother, want to poison him to prevent that from happening. But yeah, she's on my hated list. So yeah, number 3, Theon. He just lost it completely in this season, I think. As soon as he was told, yeah, you're going back to the Pike, his attitude changed completely. I can see why he wants to prove himself to his father and his family, but I think in his heart he is a Stark, and he just played it completely wrong. He got manipulated by Dagmar, I think, and he was trying to prove himself, but he is not the leader material. He's, a silly little boy who doesn't have a clue about war or leadership. So, yeah, I don't like him. He's gone from me liking him to me not liking him. So, but yeah, he's played. The actor is playing it really well. I think they all are. Otherwise, you wouldn't be that bothered about them. So yeah, number 4 is Catelyn. I had high hopes for her in this season, and then it just changed when she let Jaime go. I don't have children myself, but I can sort of see as her being a mother, she'd be desperate to get her children back, and that's obviously the reason why she let Jaime go, hoping that oh yeah, we're gonna give him back, so the Lannisters will give us my children back. It's like that's just not going to happen. I mean, come on, they would never do that. They get Jaime back and they just kill them. End off, idiots. It really wound me up. Yeah, I think she started out all right in the season, but yeah, she made that one mistake that I think she made in season 1 as well. Went against the family, and yeah, it's gonna turn out bad. I think she's sort of the reason why Ned got killed in the end in season 1, because she took Tyrion as a prisoner, and that sort of kicked off a whole lot of things. So yeah, she's played it wrong, and you just can't have that. So she's my number 4. Number 5 is Tywin. I like him and I don't, but I think overall his sort of history, because you learned that he was the one who killed the Targaryen kids or had them killed, and yeah, I think he's definitely a puppet master, and overall, I know he had his moments with Arya, but he's a very cold-hearted kind of character, and that's obviously why Cersei is the way she is. It sounds like Cersei lost her mother when she was young, and she's basically been raised by her father, who doesn't have a clue about how to raise children, especially girls. So yeah, I'm interested to see. I think he's gonna die in season 3, but I'm interested to see how. So yeah, so that was my least favorite characters. Alright, so the 3 most shocking moments in season 2 for me was number 1, Joffrey abusing the horse. I'm not shocked that he would do that, but I think it's shocking that they actually showed it. I don't think it was necessary for the show. I think you got a pretty good idea what Joffrey is like and how much of a sociopath he is, and yeah, I don't think it was necessary, and I think that's what was shocking. Obviously, I think like the writers and the producers and that, they wanted the shock factor, but personally for me, I didn't need to see that. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that, but yeah, I think it was disgusting. Number two, the birth of Stannis' son. What the hell? It was kind of like, if you compare it to season one, it was sort of like Lisa breastfeeding Robin. It was that kind of like, what the fuck is going on here, type of thing. It's like, you're expecting, okay, so you get Stannis got her pregnant, yeah, 9 months down the line. Nope, that didn't happen. Yeah, it's in a cave, and yeah, this shadow monster type thing that can sneak up on people and kill them is born. I like, what? I don't get it. It's like, what the hell? I mean, obviously she's some kind of witch something, you know. So, but yeah, I was not expecting that. So definitely a shocking moment. Number three is when Joffrey had all of King Robert's bastard children killed. For me, it was when I saw that happening, I instantly just thought back to the Bible, and it was sort of like biblical moment, and yeah, definitely disgusting. You could see why he would want, because they're obviously to him a threat, so he would want to have, you know, the competition and threats, want to get rid of them, as well as that whole scene. You sort of saw the how the people were reacting in King's Landing, and then you saw a soldier coming, walking down, dangling a baby's, you know, a baby by the foot, and you just saw the look of disgust on one of the other soldiers, who, you know, it could have been a family member to that kid. You don't know that, do you? But yeah, definitely shocking. But yeah, obviously a very good storyline, but yeah, it was definitely shocking. So yeah, that was my most shocking moments. You guys might not agree with me. Yeah, you might have some other things, so it'll be interesting to see what you guys think. But yeah, for me, that was definitely the shocking moments. Alright, so the three most heartbreaking moments. Number one is Luwin's death. I sort of completely, well, I didn't really see him in season one as a big character or important character, but definitely season two, you know, he's grown and become a very loved character for me. Definitely the heart of Winterfell after Ned's death. So yeah, seeing him die, oh, it's definitely heartbreaking. And because of that, you know, obviously he was very close to the boys. Them having to see him die, you know, yeah, it's just the whole setup very well written. And I'm not a crier naturally, but yeah, I was definitely close to for that whole scene of his death. So yeah, that was definitely my most heartbreaking moment. Number two was Yoren's death. Again, sort of a small character in season one. You only saw a few times, but obviously he was the one that prevented Arya from seeing Ned die, and he sort of been the father figure to her after Ned died, and you know, him sort of advising her and telling her the story of when his brother got murdered and what he did, and that sort of inspired. That is a harsh word, inspired, because, you know, it's about killing, but that's where, you know, Arya got her ideas from, you know, putting people on a list. And he was just very good for her and for Gendry, I think, and seeing him die was just absolutely, oh my god, no, please don't. So yeah, I can see why he would have to die, but no, yeah, didn't want that, and it was definitely a sad moment. So that was my three most heartbreaking moments. Please let me know what you think. You might have something differently from me, and that's why I like doing these sort of reactions, to sort of see what other people think. So yeah. Alright, so I'm having to record this because I actually forgot to mention that in the other one. So my third most heartbreaking moment of season two was when Cersei was about to poison Tommen. Um, she loves her kids. That's I have no doubt that she does, and that's pretty much what she lives for. And her having to make the decision to, it's better to kill him myself than having, Stannis and his lot kill him. So it was like the story as well. She was telling him, about he would be king, and he would be king one day, and all this and that, and yeah, it was just very heartfelt. And you sort of saw at the same time, them fighting outside, and yeah, I mean, it takes a lot, doesn't it, for a mother to make that kind of decision. So it was heartbreaking. I don't like Cersei, but that was definitely a heartbreaking moment. So yeah, that was my. All right, so going from the three most heartbreaking moments to the three funniest moments. Tyrion arriving at King's Landing, I loved it. It was he's such an asshole. But I absolutely loved it. He came in with all the woodsmen or whatever they were, and it was just like, yeah, here we are. Quite flamboyant, and you just see the look on Joffrey's face. Was like, what the fuck's going on here? Like, what are you doing here? Like, and the same for Cersei. Oh yeah, I'm the king's hand now. And you're just gonna have to deal with me. I loved it. There were a few serious moments in that as well, but it was just a whole, them walking in like, yeah, we're taking over. I loved it. So they played it very well, and yeah, that was my the funniest moment for me in season two. Um, Second one again is just like a small scene, but I just loved it. It was a ghost trying to get the rabbit off the girl. Absolutely hilarious. The first time I saw it, I thought, oh shit, he's gonna have to try and have a go at her. I didn't see her having a rabbit dangling there, and that was obviously what he wanted. He wanted the rabbit. So yeah, I loved it, and the fact that Sam came over was like, ghost, no, brilliant. I love that. I love animals in general, so yeah, definitely my second one. Third one, it was sort of a toss up between the baby dragon sort of learning how to spit fire, or Tyrion telling the different stories to the guys, and it was Tyrion that won in the end, when he was sort of telling Pycelle and Varys and Littlefinger the three different stories of where I can't remember her name, Cersei's daughter needed to go. I love that, and in the end, obviously, he found out that Pycelle was the traitor, and he went and put him in jail. I mean, the whole thing was just absolutely brilliantly written, and I think the way that it was cut as well, edited, from Tyrion talking to Pycelle, then it switched over to straight away to Varys, and then Littlefinger, all in what it seemed to be um, in one take, I suppose. It's hard to explain, but I think you know what I mean. It was just the fact that snap, 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 there we go, end of. Loved it. So yeah, that was the second funniest scene for me. Third funniest scene for me. There's a lot of humorous scenes in this show as well as everything else, but yeah, for me, definitely these were the three. Okay, so my charts, which are based on my whiteboards, honestly, it's not really changed that much. There are a few people who've taken a dive, but overall, it's pretty steady. Joffrey, obviously a shocker, and Cersei, and Cat as well. Cat gone from yeah, and then down, and the same for Theon as well. But I think overall, it's been pretty steady. I think I sort of get the characters now, so they don't do anything as shocking that will make the charge change significantly. So You're probably laughing at me now because I think you probably know what's to come. So I think it probably is going to change. I mean, they can't keep going steady like it has been doing. Otherwise, what's the point of the show? You have to have shocking moments and people changing and that. So I'm quite interested to see what's going to happen in season three. From what I can understand, season three is quite a big season. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, those are my charts for the main characters. Obviously, I can't fit all of them in, but I'm interested to see what you guys think. You'll probably think differently to what I think, and let me know what you think to these guys. And yeah. All right, so I'm just gonna go through quickly-ish my predictions for season two and how we ended up. So you can see my sort of predictions there. And yellow, I put them. They were sort of right, but they were so basic that it's not shocking that they were right. Red is what I got wrong, and green is what I got right. And there's only two greens, so I am absolutely crap at this. So yeah, the first one, obviously, Arya and Gendry becoming friends. Had to happen, didn't it? But training at Castle Black, that didn't happen, did it? On the way, Nymeria will save them and somehow go with them. Didn't happen. Gendry had his helmet with him, so he would become an important fighter. He did have his helmet, but yeah, I suppose the helmet did play a significant part, but not by Gendry. So that was a fail. Sansa at King's Landing, going to the keep, being taunted by Joffrey. That was kind of like, I mean, of course that's going to happen. So it's not really a prediction. Well, it is a prediction, but it's just so basic that I don't count it. Cersei will realize her mistakes and try and help Sansa out. That didn't really happen, not from what I could see, but yeah. Jaime at the prison camp. Jaime will escape, helped by a traitor. I got that one right. It wasn't the traitor I expected it to be. I mean, it turned out to be Catelyn. I was expecting it to be like a soldier or something like that. But yeah, definitely a shocker. So I'm glad I got that one right, even though I didn't think it was going to be Cat. But there you go. It was a prediction, and I'm taking it. Dany, she will raise the dead dragon babies, obviously. Take revenge on the Dothrakis, and they'll become her slaves. That didn't happen. Jorah Mormont will become Dany's husband. That didn't happen. I still want to see that. So yeah. Tywin will go to war against Robb. Robb will almost lose, but be saved by the Night's Watch Rangers. They kind of were planning on attacking Robb, but they decided to go to King's Landing instead, so that was a fail. Bran and Rickon. Osha will teach them about what is outside the walls, and the boys will go out to venture with Osha and Hora in tow. I'm taking it. It's not quite how I imagine it to be, but I'm taking it because they are on an adventure now-ish. Obviously, they were forced to go out of, get out of Winterfell, and yeah, they're with these guys now. So I would say that's a prediction that I got right. I'm taking it. Night's Watch. Yeah, Lord Commander Mormont will die by an attack by the White Walkers and the dog spiders from the Old Nan story. That didn't happen. Benjen will come to help out. No, Benjen will come to help, but will be too late. We've not seen Benjen yet, so nope, that was a fail. Benjen will go back and train Arya and Gendry. That didn't happen either. So basically my season 2 predictions were absolute shite, and I only got 2 right-ish. So it just shows how well the story is written. You just don't know what's going to happen. As soon as you think something is going to happen, completely throws you in a different direction. So predictions are kind of pointless, but they're fun to do, and I hope it's fun for you guys to see predictions as well. So that was my season 2 fails. Alright, so my season 3 predictions, and I do apologize that I'm looking over here, but I have it on screen what I've written down. So first prediction for season 3 is Jon will find that Benjen Stark will turn out to be Mance, the king beyond the wall, and Ghost is with Mance. It sounds stupid, but I mean, it would just be hilarious that, you know, all the wildlings are. Yeah, he's the leader of the wildlings. I mean, how good would that be? I mean, he's probably there, I would imagine, but I don't know. We'll see. It'll be funny, and you know, Jon to come and Jon being sort of like escorted by the wildlings down to their camp, and then see the king, and the king is Benjen with Ghost next to him. I mean, I would love that. So yeah, that's my first one. And then Joffrey will have Tywin killed, and have that be an example of his reign, because Tywin tries to control Joffrey. I think Tywin is a character who's going to have to die in season 3 for the story to sort of move on. So I think it's definitely going to be a battle between Joffrey, Tywin, and Tyrion, but definitely Joffrey and Tywin. So I could see Joffrey get Tywin killed somehow. Number 3, Robb will capture both Theon and Jaime. I think that's going to have to happen, because he wants obviously to kill Theon himself, and it would make sense that, you know, they stop Jaime from going to King's Landing, because otherwise what's the point? Yeah. Number 4 is Catelyn will be sent back to Winterfell, and she will see that the boys aren't there, and then she'll go to the Vale. I think Robb will just get fed up with her, and he'll be just like, yeah, go back and take care of the boys, and she'll get to she might actually think the boys are dead. Yeah, she'll go back to Winterfell, obviously see it's been burnt down, and see corpses, and think the boys are dead, and then go to the Vale to her sister. Yeah, let's say that. 5, Sansa will team up with Tyrion and Shay. I think I'm just going to add Varys onto that as well, because I think Varys obviously doesn't like Joffrey, and he doesn't like Littlefinger, and I think he's trying to sort of take over Littlefinger's people, and I think he's going to team up with Tyrion, Shay, and Sansa's going to be involved with that somehow as well. I think it's probably wrong, like everything else is, but yeah, let's go with that. Number 6, Arya, Gendry, and Hotpot will run into the Hound on their way to Winterfell, and they will fight and kill him. And that'll be one of obviously one of the guys who's on Arya's tick list, or death list, hit list, Deadpool, whatever. Yeah, I think they could outman the Hound and kill him, because he's obviously left King's Landing, and he's gonna go somewhere. So yeah, he's gonna run into them, and they'll kill him. Dany will get a ship and attack Dragonstone and kill the priestess. That's probably more of a hope than a prediction. That'll be so cool, you know, obviously, because they've taken all the gold now, and they're gonna get ships. And I think, from what I understand, Dragonstone is sort of on the way to the mainland, so it will be kind of cool if they ended up there and have a fight with the priestess, and Dany's gonna kill her, or maybe the dragon babies are gonna. I wonder if the dragon babies are gonna be dragon teenagers. That'll be cool. Number 8, Bran, Rickon, Osha, and Hodor, and the wolves will run into Nymeria on their way to the wall and run into Arya, Gendry, and Hotpot. Be like a family reunion type thing. That would be awesome. Um, it would be nice to see that if they were to sort of run into each other, to see that they're all okay and nothing's happened to them. So that'll be a great family reunion, I think, because I think especially the younger kids are very close to each other, aren't they? So that'll be pretty cool. And the wolves get together because Nymeria is out there, and I want to see her in season 3. She didn't come back for season 2, so that sucks. But she's gotta come back in season 3. Yeah, Nymeria all the way. Number 9, um, the White Walkers will break the wall and flood into the south. I mean, they've been talking about that a lot, so I think that's something that's going to have to happen, isn't it? So, yeah, yeah. Number 10 and the last one is Stannis will try and take the throne again, fail, and get killed. I don't know if that's a bit too on the nose as well, because that's obviously his whole. That's the reason why he's there, isn't it? He feels like he is the rightful heir, and yeah, he's gonna keep trying, isn't he? So yeah, those are my season 3 predictions. Like season 2, I only got 2 right, so I doubt I'm gonna get any of these right. But it'll be interesting to see, and yeah, let's see what happens. All right, so the questions that I've been asked, and I'm going to put your names up there because you know what I'm like with names, I can't pronounce them properly. So your name is on there, and I'm sorry that I'm not saying it. The first question is if you could choose, would you rather have a grown direwolf or a dragon baby? It's a very interesting question, and it's a hard one. But I love animals, dogs and cats especially, and dire wolves are similar to dogs. I love huskies; they're my favorite dogs, and dire wolves are similar to the huskies, aren't they? So I'd have to go with the grown dire wolves. With those, you can give them a big fat cuddle, and you know they could warm you at night. So yeah, I love big dogs, and dire wolves are definitely the fluffy ones, aren't they? So full grown dire wolf, definitely. Number 2 is if you could go out for a drink with one of the characters from Game of Thrones, who would it be and why? Um, it's gotta be Tyrion all the way. I think he's the most interesting guy. He's my favorite character, and I think you'd have a lot of good stories. I'll probably be a bit worried about him getting a bit too drunk because he's a bit of a pervert, isn't he? But yeah, definitely, it would definitely be Tyrion. I think he would be quite fun to go out with, wouldn't he? So yeah, Tyrion is my guy who I would like to go out for a drink with. Um, Number 3 is at this point in Game of Thrones, who do you believe is the rightful heir to the Iron Throne? It's a really hard one because I don't know if there is a rightful. It all depends on what you think, isn't it? But personally, for me, I think Dany is the rightful heir. The Targaryens, from what I understand, have been ruling for thousands of years, maybe not thousands of years, but for a very long time. And they got overthrown. So I think Dany is the rightful heir. Obviously, if King Robert hadn't, killed her father, they would still be ruling. So I think in that respect, from looking at it logically, I think Dany is the rightful heir, and she should be sitting on the Iron Throne. Um, I suppose if you go by what's happened, yeah, then Stannis would be the rightful heir because obviously Robert took over, so that family now is royal family, I suppose, and that would make Stannis the rightful heir. But I believe Dany is the rightful heir. So there we go. There's probably a lot of people who disagree with me, but for me, Dany, based on sort of logical side of it, is the rightful heir. Number 4, if Arya was raised by Tywin, would she be like herself or more like Cersei? That would be really interesting. I think Arya, she's very bullheaded, very strong-minded, so it's a hard one. I think she would be more like herself than Cersei. Yeah, I think it's probably more hoping she would be more like herself than Cersei. I don't necessarily think Cersei would be the way she is had she had a mother and hadn't been raised by Tywin alone. But I would like to think that Arya would be more like herself. Obviously, have a bit more attitude, I think, because of being raised by Tywin. But she's very strong-minded, so I could kind of see her be more like herself than Cersei. Number 5, who do you think Hope will survive till the season 8 finale? I don't know how many people I'm allowed to say, but Tyrion, definitely. He's my favorite character, and I would hate to see him not make it to the finale. Arya, I want to see. Dany, I want to see. I think Rob would probably be killed at some point. That would make sense. Yeah, who else? I think they're like the 3 main players I would love to see make it to the end. Yeah, I mean, obviously the young boys as well, the young kids. It would be heartbreaking if they were to die throughout the season, like Tom and I can't remember his sister's name, and then Rickon and Bran. Yeah, those the younger boys there. Yeah, I think they're sort of the ones that I really want to see make it. There are probably some that I'm like, yeah, if they make it, that's fine. If they don't, that's fine. But yeah, definitely these three characters I want to see make it to the season finale. And yeah, and who will sit on the Iron Throne in the end? It's a hard one because if sort of like history repeats itself, I could see because Jaime was the king's hand to the Targaryens, and he stabbed the king in the back. So I could sort of see him at some point getting stabbed in the back and then die that way. That would sort of be like history repeating. So I could sort of see that somehow, that Tywin dying at some point and then Jaime becoming the king's hand, and then somebody's gonna stab him in the back and he's gonna die that way. That would be justice, and yeah, history repeating itself. I think, I mean, Dany has the dragons, doesn't she? And they're going to grow up. And from what Viserys, I think when he was in the bath scene with somebody, he was sort of like explaining the history of the dragons, and they were like absolutely huge. So yeah, I mean, they're the most powerful creatures in Game of Thrones, so it's gotta be Dany surely, with the help of the dragons, because the dragons are gonna take it. Like you saw Harrenhal, they were overrun by dragons from the sky. So yeah, it's gotta be Dany. I mean, surely, I would imagine. it would make sense to me if it was Danny. I'm just babbling because I haven't got a freaking clue. So yeah, no, I think it's gonna be Danny. Yeah, I can't see it be Jamie or Rob. Yeah, it's gonna be Danny surely. Next question, number 7 is, what was the saddest, happiest moment of season 2? Saddest moment was definitely, oh, what? I say definitely, but then I think Tyrion losing basically everything. You know, when he got cut down and then ended up in whatever little tiny room that was. That was really sad to see that he basically saved King's Landing and then were treated like that. That was really sad. But then again, so was Leuven's death. So it's some hard questions and it's really hard to answer. Um, yeah, but those two, I would say, yeah, it's so hard. It's so hard. But I hope you understand what I'm saying. Happiest moment. I think probably Sansa being told she's not going, her fate is not going to be Joffrey's wife. I think that it's a relief, wasn't it? And as well as that, sort of Shay saying to, telling Tywin, Tyrion, that she loves him and he's an idiot, basically, for believing she doesn't. So I'm yours and you're mine. Definitely, I was like, oh my god, they're meant for each other, and I was just so happy that she basically told him, you're an idiot and you're mine and I'm yours. That was a happy moment, I think. And I don't know if somebody took the question down again, but it was a question that came up. As of now, who would win in a fight? Jaime Lannister, Brienne, Bronn, or the Hound? And it's a very good question, and it's a really hard question to answer because they all got something. I think Bronn and Brienne got the strength, and I think Brienne and the Hound got the strength, and Jaime and Bronn sort of got they're sort of like street fighters, aren't they? They're sort of like dirty fighters. So I think it'd be really hard to answer, but I think Brienne could definitely take Bronn, and I think Jaime could take the Hound. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna go with. But then again, I think like Jaime and Brienne, they're on their way to King's Landing, so they could have a fight. I don't know. It's so hard, but yeah, I think no, I think that's definitely what I would say. Yeah, it's a hard one. Very good question, and it's so hard to say, but yeah, that's definitely what I would go with. So yeah, they were the questions. Very good questions. It's sort of good to get your brain going and like to sort of think, okay, what would and what if this and that would happen. So yeah, very good questions, guys. Okay, so this is one that it was like a challenge I was set at the end of season. No, so mid through season 1. You've noticed these little banners I have at the intro on my reactions, and it's just basically who I think would win and who I want to win. So for up until now, it's been both Starks I think would win and I want to win. That's going to change in the beginning of season 3 because now I think Danny, the Targaryens, are going to win and take over the Iron Throne. And yeah, that's who I think would win, and who I want to win at the moment is still the Starks. So that would be Rob. So you're going to see the banners change a bit for season 3. Hey, Georgie. You alright, little buddy? It's funny, he's not been here for ages, and now all of a sudden I'm doing my season 2 extras, and he's here with me. So yeah, that's pretty much my season 2 extras. So I'm looking forward to season 3, and I just want to thank you guys so much for sticking by me. I know we've had some issues with some of the episodes for season 2, and it sucks, but I suppose it's what happens when you do these kind of reactions. So I just want to thank you guys for sticking with me and all your comments on that. Unfortunately for season 2, because of the problems I've had, I've not been able to sort of comment on everything. But yeah, thank you guys so much on YouTube for sticking with me. I know we've lost a few impatient people, but it is what it is, you know. I can't help that. And I want to thank you guys on Patreon for, you know, sticking by me on there. And it's so interesting to see you guys react to my full reactions, and I sort of get a better idea of what you think and what you think of me reacting, because there was a comment made on YouTube that I tend to be a bit harder on the men than I am on the women. And that's obviously just based on the sort of edited versions on YouTube, because like I feel like I'm actually harder on the women than I am on the men. So it's very interesting to see sort of the impressions people get on YouTube. And then I've had people on Patreon say, well, actually it's a bit even, because, you know, we see the full reactions, and getting the full reactions is you get a better sort of idea of what I'm feeling and what I'm seeing. So it's been sort of half and half on YouTube, and more to the men on, no, half and half on Patreon, and sort of more hatred to the men on, not hatred, but, you know, I'm harder on the men on YouTube. But I actually feel like I'm harder on the women. So yeah, it's very interesting to see how these reactions come across. And yeah, obviously I got a Patreon if you guys would like to see the full reactions. And I just want to thank you guys again so much for sticking with me and watching my reactions. And I'm going to stop here and get started on season 3.